Hello everybody, it is Scott Summerton of the Guilty Pleasure Cinema with Summerton's Summer Summary Summer goof up of the title. It's Summerton's Summer Summary. The reason I'm goofing up is because it's September 23rd and I haven't done it yet. Historically I've done this thing for the end of August because I've seen all the movies as they come out. Didn't happen this year. Things just changed overall with who I go see it with and stuff like that, and I just don't go opening nights anymore. And I saw everything I wanted to see but one. We'll get to that. What the Summerton Summer Summary is basically just me sitting there looking at the movies that came out over the summer and talking about them, the ones I saw, the ones I didn't see, the ones I wanted to, and just kind of why. It is a list of 4 months of movies, generally, May, June, July, and August, but it's a little bit of insight into things overall for how things kind of played out through the year compared to what it started with. So let's begin. I'm not doing any kind of silly stuff walking around the house like I did for the first one. It's just a matter of stream of consciousness with what's there. Excuse me. Honorable mention to Furious 7. That's one from April. The reason I'm bringing that up is it's actually a major factor in the summer itself. That, and much like Captain America the year prior, proved that the summer doesn't just start in May. That's why I'm mentioning it and might expand next time. The May opening weekend has historically been the one that sets everything. That really goes back strongly to The Mummy Returns in 99. Or 2001 rather. Mummy was 99. In 2001, if I remember correctly. And ever since then, you had Spider-Man in 2002. You had, I believe it was X2 for 2003. And it's continuing with big Marvel superhero opening weekends. Thor opened on it. All the Iron Mans did. Both Avengers. I believe a Harry Potter did as well, if I remember correctly. Spider-Mans mostly were all there as well. And that's the key. That's the big weekend. And then Captain America opened a week prior and proved you don't have to. Now, that's not to say things haven't done that before. 300 did that in March and did really well and proved that people will go whenever the movies are. People think that it's dead in November, and yet Bond or Maze Runner or Hunger Games come out and it goes nuts. Keep in mind, those are franchises, but that's kind of the point. If there's an audience for the thing, they'll go. Summer is where people are just like, let's go see a movie. So you want your stuff there. It's more freeing. There's no school, nothing like that to worry about. It's better options for it. So Furious 7 came along in March and kind of sapped that summer pent-upness out. So when the summer actually hit, this thing made $350 million and got a lot of that out early enough. So it's rather interesting to see that studios are focusing on that time frame now. The next Furious movie is going to be that time frame. And hell, Batman vs. Superman next year is March. So, there you go. But we've got that one. Avengers Age of Ultron is the main thing from that. It is the official kickoff for the summer. And I liked it better than the first Avengers in a viewing aspect. First one's a better movie, but this one's more rewatchable. You don't have to wait for everything to build up. It's pretty much going from the get-go. I like the new characters, even though I've never really been a fan of most of them. They worked really well and incorporated well, and it just all played out really good and made a lot of money. But was a failure for Disney. Take that however you want from their official standings, but that's what the rumors say. But literally, it did not do as well as the prior, and did not do as well as the #1 of the year. So, from both aspects of what was expected and internally discussed, it's a failure. It didn't top the first. That was the goal. Iron Mans have always topped. Captain Americas have topped. Thors have topped. They've all topped. That one didn't, and I'll look at Guardians. So, didn't work. So that's a bit worrisome. From their side of it, it still made $2 billion. Failure schmaler. But it didn't make 2.5, or whatever the claim is. It didn't make what they thought, and they were literally aiming for the moon. They were going to go out there and make the biggest one ever. It didn't happen. And it happened by people who were going out there hoping to make the biggest one ever, but you never really think you do, and then did. We'll get there. So I really feel Furious 7 sapped a bit of that, but there you go. Hot Pursuit, Reese Witherspoon, Sofia Vergara, comedy, did not see it. Comedies I don't care for much in the theater unless it's with a crowd, and friends I want to see a movie with. That one didn't appeal, didn't look funny at all to me. But Mad Max, Fury Road, oh yes, that movie, holy freaking crap, that one's great. Vibrant, visual, drive, turn around, drive back. Quotable, insane. Is it the best movie ever? No. There's something I call crouching tiger syndrome, where people who are unfamiliar with movies similar to that latch onto one and say, this is how it should be. I've never seen this before, and yet people who are more familiar with these have. Anyone who knows wire fu movies knows there's 2 decades of awesome before Crouching Tiger hit. Okay? That kind of thing. Doesn't really happen with the new Mad Max, but does a little bit. Like all these crazy car action scenes, we just haven't seen those in a while. They're out there, and we've not focused on that kind of stuff in a long time. This brought that back. But the new generation of fans and moviegoers and stuff like that hasn't seen that stuff. They're the ones that will see something that's like a Harry Potter movie that has a big troll doing whatever, and the suspension of disbelief is whole for those kids who watch it. And yet for someone like me, that's not a man in a suit, that's a big monster thing. Looks really good, but I know it's not there, and there's a little bit of disconnect. But they're able to see it and be like, that's a troll. Okay, that's an important factor. Another generation, and that's going to be how it works. And this just has cars hitting cars and blowing up and flipping. That is new for them. So that's a really important thing that I think is going to be an impressive thing and actually keep this stuff going and alive. Add in the awesome music, the overall greatness of it, and the fact that it's kind of a feminist movie overall, and yet empowering everybody equally, and, you know, the world's kind of crappy. Awesome movie. I absolutely loved it. One of my favorite of the year, bar none. I enjoyed it better than Avengers. That's for certain. It's so much more rewatchable. Not quotable, but visually quotable. Like you see the moments, like the doof guitar. It's just amazing. Pitch Perfect 2 is a franchise that I'm amazed exists because it did so well and they made another one. First one looked fun, never saw it, so there you go. Didn't see 2. Poltergeist, I don't care for horror unless your movie is called Paranormal Activity or exists. I don't care in a remake of a ghost whatever movie. Doesn't interest me at all like that. Don't care. Tomorrowland, I came this close to seeing it so many times. Brad Bird has a lot of trust with me for movies after Incredibles and the 4th Mission Impossible. And I regret not having seen this in theaters. But it seemed very pedestrian, which is exactly not what you want out of a movie like that. So, there you go. But I do fully plan to see that one. That's the first. That was the first one, was like, I didn't see it. Huh, summer's gonna be weird. There's a gap. You know, there's a gap in it. And yeah, I'm checking my hair. It's been bugging me lately. Aloha, a small Cameron Crowe movie, I believe, or if it's not by him, it's one that's like one of his. I don't care for those type of movies. Even though visually it looked well made and good, don't care. And the whole thing about Emma Stone and not being native, playing a native, well, that's kind of the point. She doesn't look native. So what are we going to do? Hire a native actor that didn't look native to play a native character that didn't look native? Literally, if the whole point is they don't look native, why is there a problem if you hire someone that does not look native, whether or not they are native? I don't understand the problem with that. And like the whole reason for a character like that is it's part of just what the character was. Should the character even exist? That's a different discussion. But if this is what you're doing, what's the problem? I don't understand. Like, it's a native character, so you must hire a native actor? Cool. So, by those rights, then Christian Bale should not be allowed to be Batman, because Batman's not British. Spider-Man should not have been played by Andrew Garfield, because he's British, and Spider-Man's not British. Like, if it's a matter of it's acting, what's it matter? I don't understand. If there's more beyond that, then fair enough. I never looked into it much beyond that, but that was the whole thing. But that's that movie. That's all I know about that movie. It takes place in Hawaii and has Rachel McAdams in it and Bradley Cooper. And yeah. Beyond that, San Andreas. The Rock fights an earthquake. Really, all it is The Rock steals a helicopter and fights an earthquake. Normally, I'd go see a movie like that, but I care even less about disaster movies than I do for romance ones like that, or comedies and musicals and horror. It's a disaster. It's all fake. And I'm not the type that hates the video game look, like, oh no, it looks like a video game. I don't suspend my disbelief. I just like, oh look, it's breaking. How many movies like that have we seen? I don't care. And yet for someone else it's new. It's all new. But I've never cared. I never have cared for movies like that. So, like disaster movies, I could care less. That's just me. To be honest, romantic comedies, I quite like them. I just don't seek them out in the theater. I like them when I see them. Notting Hill's quite good. Stuff like that, right? But I won't go out of my way to see it. But if it's on, I most likely enjoy it when I see it. There you go. What else do we have? And if you can probably tell, my eyes are drooping a little bit. I'm tired. But the show must go on. Entourage. This looked funny. I never saw the show, so I didn't care to see it. But this looked funny. Big aspect of it is some of the cameos, and especially Ronda Rousey. Big fan of her fighting. I like her movie career. Looked funny in it. Oh, excuse me. But it literally looks like there's not much to her part beyond that bit. So there you go. No desire to see it. It's like coming into a franchise I've never seen anything of. It's a bit of a risk for me to bother. Insidious, Chapter 3. Oh, look, another horror. Don't care. Don't care. Never saw the Friars. To be honest, looked creepy as all hell. So I absolutely don't care. I'm not going. I don't like to pay for scares. Okay, so there you go. Spy, I don't like McCarthy, but that one looked decent. I just don't like her comedy stylings, so I don't care. Jurassic World. Oh look, the biggest movie of the year and like third biggest all time. It might become second, depending how it goes in the next little bit. But here's the plot of Jurassic World. I've seen this one, obviously. We have dinosaurs on a park, and we have, contingencies in case things go wrong. But if stuff gets loose, we need to evacuate. We don't have any means whatsoever to evacuate on the island that previously had things go wrong and a bunch of people die. There's no way that would open and exist without 100% evacuation possibilities at all times on the monster island. Of course, there's cost-cutting measures and investor bribe and whatever, sure, okay. But just from a standpoint of this won't exist otherwise, that's a bit of a disbelief breaker for me. It just, no, no. But at the same time, how do you fix that? Well, we basically weaponized the dinosaur. We engineered it. And I don't want to give away the type of dinosaur they made because it's pretty awesome and kind of obvious when I look at it now. I'm like, oh, it so is. But their plan to solve that was to weaponize dinosaurs. And the joke became, well, how do you stop that? You weaponize dinosaurs and you just keep going. And weaponized dinosaurs will fix the weaponized dinosaurs. Chris Pratt was amazing in that movie. He really can do no wrong as far as I'm concerned. I discovered him through Guardians as Star-Lord. I never saw Parks and Rec, but the clips I've seen are so good. Emmett in the Lego movie, he's really good, and here as well, this as well. So good. He's awesome. He can carry things. He is kind of like a Harrison Ford in that he's a bit selfless, and yet that guy, right? So he's got that. And Bryce Dallas Howard nailed it in her part, but is a little bit disconnected more than I would think someone is, but a young professional like that, fair enough, okay. But she gets a lot of flack for the heels. And yet, I've seen people come out and be like, no, if someone like her who wears heels all the time was in a situation, she'd know how to run in heels. There you go. It's being complained by people who either don't wear heels or know how and think, oh, that's unrealistic. Put yourself in that situation, you'd figure it out. And yet, running from the T-Rex, yeah, no, that's not realistic because it outran a Jeep. Oh yeah, and fixing a battery on a Jeep that long would not make that Jeep run. Yeah. Otherwise, though, the movie was really good. Kind of stupid in a lot of parts, but you know what's awesome? Dinosaurs. So there you go. What's amazing is no one really... I've never seen anyone pick up on this or comment on it, but this is the biggest movie of the year, second biggest, third biggest of all time. And the climax basically featured 3 females fighting. Because they're all females. All the clones are females. There's the female Rex, the female Imperious Rex, and female Velociraptor. And it's all happening because of Bryce Dallas Howard's female character. So 4 females made that happen. And there's another one actually that it was involved That's 5 females in the biggest movie ever, and yet women aren't in movies, and they're all naked and not sexualized, except for the one. She's not naked, but kind of sexualized. You get my point. It's a weird when you really put it there. It's no one's commented on it as far as I know. It's kind of funny, but I digress. After Jurassic World is Max. That's a movie about a dog. I know nothing about it. Ted 2. Kind of astonished I didn't see this one. It looked like it had more stupid stuff like the first one didn't, so I passed on it. Mila Kunis, honestly, her loss, her not being in the movie is a huge loss. She really made the first one super funny, so there you go. Dope. It's a movie called Dope. I don't know anything about it. I could tell you less about... I can tell you more about the horror movies than this. I just know nothing about that one. Inside Out. Kind of surprised I didn't go see this one. It's a big Pixar movie. I love their stuff generally. I didn't see Up or Monsters, Inc. or You. But saw WALL-E and Incredibles. And yeah, their stuff is good. Finding Nemo. So, Inside Out, didn't see it. Oops. Plan to. Magic Mike XXL. First one I got on the cheap and never watched it yet, but I have it. Because it just looked funny. Like, Channing Tatum is not the big, dumb, doofy guy. Yeah, he is. But he's not. He's more than that. And yet he knows how to be that and go with it. So this whole story about how it's basically his life story, in a way, to level 11, was great. I love the concept. So a sequel makes sense. But I've heard not great things. Terminator Genesis. I like Terminator 3. I don't like Salvation. And yet most of the people I ever tell liked Salvation more. Because it was more serious. And look at Terminator 2. It's funny. And so is 3. And it's silly, but it knows what it is. And I've gone on length about 3. Look at the last anniversary from 2013. 2014. God. But I go on length, on record, about how good 3 is. Genesis, I feel, captured a lot of that. And for that reason, a lot of people didn't like it. And yet, it's definitely flawed. There's some really rough edges to it. The guy who's playing John Connor, I don't like. I never ever see him as even threatening. Like he's someone pretending to be threatening. This doesn't work. Jai Courtney has really won me over as of late. Emilia Clarke is Sarah Connor, is Linda Hamilton. She's perfect. And Arnold is Arnold and is great as always. So the movie had some really great fun moments. I liked it a lot. I'm looking forward to getting the DVD and Blu-ray. I mean, here's Furious 7. I buy the movies I like. I support them. So, Terminator, I'm glad it's going to get a sequel because China loved it so much. But I can understand the faults and the failings. We've been through this a lot before, and especially with a bit of a reboot, people are like, oh, I'll wait and see. Well, here we go. The Gallows is a horror movie I couldn't tell you anything about. Minions, I haven't seen Despicable Me or Despicable Me 2. Minions are neat. Looked fun, but why would I see it without seeing the others? And yet I've heard specifically, you totally can. Okay. But I never got around to it, so there you go. Selfless, Ryan Reynolds is a body that Ben Kingsley buys to cheat death. And then he ends up having weird flashes and realizes that this is some dude who had a family. What the hell's going on? Didn't see it. But that's the trailer, and it looked cool. Ant-Man. Ant-Man. Oh, Ant-Man was so good. Not a flavor of the week, Zack Snyder. And the reason for that is because this movie's been in development longer than the Marvel Cinematic Universe itself. Since 2006. How's it flavor of the week when it's a 14-year freaking type, or an 8-year odyssey? It's not a flavor of the week. It might seem like one, but it's not. So, argument invalid, move on. Ant-Man went back to the whole idea of a guy getting empowered and being part of a bigger world. With Iron Man, it worked because he's part of this whole military thing and what's going on and stuff like that. It's just like the enemies that are out there. For Ant-Man, it's the Avengers and the Marvel Cinematic Universe existing for 7 years. So it's great in the sense of what happens and what we see. The cast is amazing. The story and pacing is amazing. The music is, I can't remember it whatsoever, but I liked it when I saw it. And Wasp, yes. Yes, yes, yes. Wasp, Wasp, Wasp. I can't recommend it highly enough. It just had amazing pacing and knew what to do. And really, Marvel made a heist movie. Marvel doesn't make comic book movies. They make movies about something that happened to be taking place in the comic book. And this is a heist movie. It had the brutalest death in a Marvel movie yet. And like there's some casual, oh god, moments that still just make me kind of cringe just thinking about the overall ramifications of them. And yet, it's probably one of the funniest too. It's great. So, can't recommend highly enough. Can't wait to buy it. Trainwreck. I want to see it because John Cena's in it. He's so underrated, and I hope he gets more work in movies. I literally discovered who Amy Schumer is because of this. I'm like, who? Who is this? That's who. Looked funny, honestly. It looked like a lot of fun, but never got... I don't go to see those kind of movies generally, so it didn't bother. Paper Towns is a drama, I think. Pixels. This is the one that I didn't get to see. I probably still could swing it, but... a lot of talk has been made about Movie Bob's review, how it's like a cinematic atrocity. And yet, a friend of mine went and saw it after, and said, it's not bad, it's entertaining, this is good stuff. The nostalgia factors work, like, oh, that's a thing I know. That works because it's a thing you know. That's not just a bad thing. Is it lazy? But it still works. Big difference. Overall, I want to see it, but the whole idea that you literally need 80s video game players in order to battle these aliens that are mimicking them does not work with me. Because you can take anybody and plop them down in front of one of those games and they'll figure it out really quick. Recognize the patterns. Aim where they're not. Not just leading a target, but it's going to bounce on the wall. That's how it's going to work. These aren't great foreign concepts, especially considering a lot of the military force are going to be the same age as those players and probably played it because arcade games and Atari were pretty popular and these are from those. I can't buy the concept of you need those guys, especially when these things are free on your phone or on flash sites and things like that, where you literally have people younger than me and my nephew playing them well. You don't need 80s champions to do it. There you go. Southpaw, boxing movie. Looked interesting. Not enough to get me to go though. Creed is the one I'm waiting for, but it looked fun. Oh, subjective term. It's more of a drama type thing, but it looks well done. I'm interested. Mission Impossible, Rogue Nation. It is absolutely a fifth Mission Impossible. There you go. You'll know if you want to see it. I really enjoyed it. It was fun. A bit carefree, which works for this franchise. The motorbike chases were freaking awesome. Can't say too much more about that. Absolutely worth seeing, and I hope for another one. Vacation. I love the idea that it's a reboot and yet continues on and fully addresses the fact of what it is and makes fun of it. At the same time, a big part of it was who was in the first ones, and doing it again seems like a retread. Even though I do like the new cast, I don't know. Fantastic Four. This is not the cinematic atrocity that people make it out to be. It's not 2 out of 10. It's not even 4 out of 10. Maybe it's a 5. It's barely functional as a movie. So fails outright, right? There's glimpses in there of what could have been awesome. There are some awesome bits, and they seem like the Fantastic Four in a lot of sections. But the directing style, the choices, the chemistry between people who should be family members or best friends before anything falls apart is horrendous. The pacing is the worst I've seen in a movie all year. I can't say enough bad things about it. It's the bottom of the list for me, obviously. But it's not the worst thing ever. If it was, I would have been more entertained. There you go. And then we're gonna have a big gap. Well, a little bit. We have The Gift. We have Ricky and the Flash. Meryl Streep trying for an Oscar is probably going to be the headline for most things for that. I don't care. Shaun the Sheep the movie, or just Shaun the Sheep movie, whatever. Looks cutesy and fun. I don't care. The character has no resonance with me, so I never had much interest. The Man from U.N.C.L.E. This movie suffered so much from Mission Impossible coming out 2 weeks prior. If it hadn't, people wouldn't be thinking, oh, it's another retread type thing. I've seen one already. Like, Mission Impossible got it out of their system. I really liked The Man from U.N.C.L.E. The casting was fantastic. I mean, my hyperbole will sum it up, but it's thinking back on it now, the cast was flat out superb. Guy Ritchie is Guy Ritchie in how he directs and makes it awesome. I can't recommend it highly enough, especially considering it's being underseen. It's a guilty pleasure, and yet does not deserve to be there. It's literally only because no one went to see it. Straight Outta Compton, everybody went to see it. I didn't. And yet, I'm intrigued. It looks really well made, but it's a story I don't have a vested interest in. But it's one I'm a little familiar with, so I'm kind of invested to see. Just never got around to it, and honestly, there's other stuff I wanted to see first, like American Ultra and Hitman Agent 47, the next two on the list. So there were sacrifices to be made. Yeah, I sacrificed Compton for Ultra and Hitman. Ultra was a lot of fun. It's a little movie that's made big, but little. It's exactly what it says it's going to be. It's a sleeper agent that's brought active, but he's a little fuzzy from all the weed. Now, I hate pot movies. I think they're stupid. They relish on things. It literally will do a bit that will make a pothead giggle and laugh at, but it's not funny otherwise. That's the biggest sin you can do with any kind of reference. It's got to also work on its own. Now, you might be thinking, Scott, you love comic book movies. Those are references for anyone. No. You can put a bit in there where you talk about Captain America 2 wants to destroy threats before they happen. Take out names of people that are relevant, like Bruce Banner and Bruce Banner and Stephen Strange, and take out even you in this. Anybody who knows comic books is going to laugh and be like, "Ah, Stephen Strange, that's Doctor Strange." Okay? Anybody who doesn't will get the Bruce Banner one because they're watching a Marvel movie. It's the Hulk. But they'll be like, "Who's Stephen Strange? Who's that? What? Who's that?" It's awareness. But it doesn't... It's not the core key part of the joke. The core part is, we're going to kill people who are important. And that does not work if you don't know who Stephen Strange is. It's telling you he's important. It's making that relevant. With a lot of the pot movies, it'll do a bit where something happens and it's silly for the potheads because they like it and recognize it. But for everybody else, it's like, yeah, and? The whole point of that is that. It doesn't work otherwise. So that's a big problem. This movie doesn't do that, thankfully. American Ultra really goes all out in the case of he's trying to become awakened as this soldier type and fight back and learn what happened and discover his past. And it works really well. It's a little unconventional, but that's Max Landis' style of writing. And I really, really enjoyed it. I look forward to owning it again. I buy the movies I like. I'm going to buy that one. I would buy it before I'd buy Hitman. Hitman was a Hitman movie, but a lot more fun, and yet kind of bland at the same time. Because the main guy, he's not that great. He doesn't look intimidating, but he looks good. But I would absolutely recommend seeing it. It's a big, goofy, fun movie, but it's little. It's not a big movie. It's a hard one to recommend, but I absolutely do. And we finish out the month of August with Sinister 2, horror sequel, don't care. No Escape, War Room, meh. And We Are Your Friends, And that's the summer. Literally, that is the summer of the year. And what else did I see? Honestly, the only other movies I saw were Kingsman, Transporter, and Seventh Son. It's been a very, very quiet year for me for seeing movies. Smallest number in years. All I can see myself going to see for the rest of the year is probably Hyena Road, Paul Gross war movie. I love his stuff, and I've saw Gunless in theaters, and I regret not seeing Passchendaele. I'll go see that. Why do we care about a war movie? It's a Canadian one by Paul Gross. I'm going to see it. Probably see The Martian, due to interest of someone I know who read the book and interviewed Andy Weir. So I'll probably go see that one. I'm definitely curious. I can't think of the other ones offhand. Oh, there's that Star Wars thing. But Spectre, Bond. That's the one I was thinking of. Absolutely want to see that. But that's it. It's such a quiet, quiet year. So there you go. That's the Summerton Summer Summary. That is just shy of a half hour. So I'll cut it here. Thanks for watching. See you next year.